That time, a neighborhood kid got even on the asshole delivery guy. So we had this mail carrier named Dave who was basically the worst person you could imagine doing that job. Like, this guy would walk right through people's flowers, crush their garden gnomes, and just generally act like he owned the street. But the really messed up part? Dave would pee in bottles while doing his route. And if he was having a bad day, he'd just chuck that bottle into someone's yard. I'm not even joking. The first time it happened to my neighbor Janet, she thought someone threw trash in her garden. She picked it up and realized what it was. She was so disgusted she marched right up to Dave the next day and told him to use an actual bathroom, or at least throw his gross bottles in the trash like a normal person. You know what this guy did? He threw the next bottle directly at her, hit her in the shoulder. She had to go home and shower immediately. Everyone complained. We went to Bob, the postmaster, who was also Dave's dad. Bob would just go, "Oh, Dave had a rough childhood. He's a foster kid, you know. He's working through some things." Like that somehow made it okay for a 30-year-old man to throw pee bottles at people. We tried going to Sheriff Steve, who was apparently Bob's best friend from high school or something. Steve would just laugh it off and say, "Boys will be boys," about a man who was literally in his 30s. So this went on for months. Everyone hated Dave. The whole neighborhood was just stuck with this guy because apparently nepotism beats basic human decency. Then summer hit. It was one of those super hot days, like 95 degrees, and all the neighborhood kids were outside playing with water guns. This kid, Oren, had one of those really powerful ones that could shoot water like 15 feet. Kid had crazy good aim too. He'd been practicing all summer and could nail a target from across the street. I was in my backyard grilling burgers when I heard this scream. Not like a normal yell, but this full-on horror movie scream. Everyone in the neighborhood came running to see what happened, and there was Dave, standing in the middle of the street, absolutely covered in this orange-brown liquid that was dripping off him. Oren was standing there with his water gun, looking super calm. Turns out the kid had taken one of Dave's pee bottles that Dave had thrown in his yard the week before, poured it into his water gun, and topped it off with a can of Red Bull for good measure. Then he waited for Dave to come by and just absolutely blasted him with it. The smell hit us before we even got close. It was pee mixed with Red Bull mixed with the heat, and it was starting to get sticky on Dave's skin. He was freaking out, wiping at his face and his uniform. Mrs. Chen from 2 houses down felt bad for him and offered to let him use her shower. Dave ignored her completely, ran to another neighbor's house, grabbed their garden hose, and just started spraying himself down right there in the street, which honestly made it worse because now he was wet and sticky and the smell was spreading. Dave stripped off his mail carrier shirt right there, threw it in the street along with his hat, and just took off running toward his truck. He peeled out so fast, he left skid marks. About an hour later, Sheriff Steve and Postmaster Bob came walking down the street together, doing their little investigation. They went door to door asking if anyone saw what happened. Every single person said they were inside or didn't see anything. Everyone protected Oren. Finally, Bob got the bright idea to just ask Oren directly. Oren didn't even hesitate. He looked Bob dead in the eye and said, "Your son has been throwing pee bottles in our yards for months. He threw one at Mrs. Janet. My mom almost stepped on one barefoot. You didn't do anything about it, so I did." The kid was 12 and had more backbone than any adult on that street. Bob turned red. Steve turned to Oren's dad and started going off. "Is this your son? Do you know what he did? This is assault. This is..." Oren's dad cut him off. "Sheriff Steve, don't you always tell us boys will be boys?" Steve's face went completely blank. Bob tried to sputter something, but there was nothing to say. They left pretty quickly after that. Dave never came back to our route. We got a new mail carrier the next week. This older lady named Ruth, who was super nice and definitely did not throw pee bottles at anyone. Word got around the post office about what happened, and apparently Dave requested a transfer to a different district.